So now we come to the present. What are emoji, how are they used, and where are they going? So for that, I'm cheating and giving you a YouTube video.
Since they first appeared on our shores early in this decade, these charming, versatile, and intelligent figures have captured our hearts. They've become part of the very fabric of our society. We've embraced them in our workplaces and offices. They've found a place in our schools. Our children adore them. We've even welcomed them into our homes. They are called emoji. But as with any widespread influx of characters into an ecosystem, their arrival has also presented some challenges. Emoji may sometimes confuse us. Emoji may aggravate us. And sometimes we may completely misunderstand their intentions. And yet emoji have become, for better or worse, integral to the way we communicate, live, and behave. We use them as accessories to enhance our style and reflect our moods and personalities. They've spawned a thriving, multifaceted economy. We cultivate and support them, and in turn, they support us. What does the future hold for emoji? No one can say for sure. But as long as these colorful, friendly, and useful companions continue to fascinate us, their future seems very bright indeed.
Okay, well, you're clapping because I managed to dig that up on YouTube, right? Okay, so how are emoji used? There are actually people doing dissertations on how emoji are used. What they find is that a lot of times they're used simply as punctuation. I can send a single emoji like sad face when I get a message that somebody can't make something. I add it to a sentence, typically at the end. They're also used to replace elements. Do you want to eat Mexican food, for example? And we also find a very avid group of people looking at emoji as puzzles. So who can get what this one is? Anyone watch Big Bang Theory? Okay, well, this is rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Okay. However, it's emoji, there have been a number of media reports, and they ask, well, is emoji going to take over? Is it the next language? Is it a universal language? And the answer is clearly no. The first time you try to express something complicated with emoji, you'll find out the limits very quickly. So we think of it more as something that gives flavor to messages, not something that replaces language. But we're seeing it all over the place. There's a whole hashtag thread about emoji research, and researchers try to put their research projects into emoji. And some of them are really interesting and amusing, and some of them are completely incomprehensible. We're also seeing a lot of media. We're also seeing a lot of unusual applications of emoji. There's a Business Insider article which gives you the entire US economy in emoji. Now it's pretty much useless unless you've got the key, but this is how they divide up the US economy, and they give you this graph that shows you the proportion of everything that's a part of the economy. You see it in lots of things. A friend of mine, when I was doing this presentation, sent me a picture that he'd taken with his daughter at a Katy Perry concert. You're also seeing advice on emoji. How do we use emoji effectively? How to use emoji effectively when you're trying to flirt with someone, when you're trying to discourage them. And if you do Google search for emoji sexting, you will find more articles than you ever wanted to look at. So let's look at some of the downsides. Here's a yellow heart. I type it in on my Apple computer or Apple phone. I send it to an Android, and I come up with the dreaded heart emoji. So there are interoperability issues that people get because they send an emoji and it means something very different on the other side. You meant to convey fidelity on Valentine's Day, and you send somebody a monster. We're guessing the reason that this came up is that the black and white images in the Unicode standard actually are stippled or have hashing to indicate that they have different colors. We're guessing that somebody looked at the actual image and decided, well, it must have been hair. So one thing that people don't know is that you can also use emoji in URLs. So if we look here, we can see some examples. I'm looking at the bad example first. So we're seeing cases where the text to the normal user is going to be completely muddied. But then I go to, hats off to Safari on the Macintosh, where all of these just work fine. So the support for these varies a lot, but one of the key things is they will still all work in all of the browsers. You'll get to the page even if you can't read it. So what are we doing about some of the problems that we've seen? We've put together a proposed draft, which is called Unicode Emoji. It's number TR51, where we're looking at kind of how we can deal with some of these issues that have caused problems for people in the past and set a direction for where we go in the future. So it contains design guidelines. Which are emoji? Now this is actually not a simple question. People often ask me, well, how many emoji characters are there? The problem is there's a gray line in Unicode between the things that are pictographs but people typically don't use as emoji and those that people typically use as emoji. So one of the things that we're dealing with this is that if I'm an implementer, just which of the kinds of things are expected, which of these pictographs are expected to be given a colorful emoji appearance. Now, text style versus emoji I'll get into, but then there's input, sorting, grouping, and so forth. So let's talk about this. I talked a little bit about these variation selectors. I can give you a black and white image. I can indicate that. I can indicate that I really want the colored emoji image. Oh, do I have those back? Oh, I do have those backwards. Thank you. Good eye. Okay, but what do we do with a plain emoji character? Which way do we go? Do we give it a black and white, or do we give it a colorful emoji appearance? And the standard doesn't give any guidance currently as to what you should do. So that's one of the things that we're tackling in 51. Another is more guidance on appearance. Now, emoji can have a variety of different appearances, as we see. So they can be black and white, they can be colorful, the colors can be different. But there are certain cases like the hairy heart where they cause real problems, or people are unhappy, let's put it that way. And those are the kinds of things that we want to avoid. So we're putting together a set of design guidelines to keep people from veering off too much and causing hairy heart problems. So one of the things we put together is a comparison of different emoji across different systems. Right here you see what's in the Unicode charts. You then see Apple's images, the images from Android, the images from Twitter, from Windows, then there's Gmail. In this case we have some missing ones, but then the other three columns are the Japanese carrier symbols that originally started this. Ordering is also an issue. The default Unicode order for Unicode characters has focused on languages, naturally, so that we put things in the right order for the languages that people use. The ordering for symbols is not completely arbitrary, but when you look at the emoji characters, you'll find that they're a jumble. So one of our goals is to put these in an order that people can deal with and look at and understand. And there's also input.
The way we communicate is changing. It's getting faster, and we're optimizing for the smaller screen. And the written word just can't keep up.
Can a word smile? Can it roll its eyes or say, sorry, not sorry? People use emoji because it provides context.
If somebody were able to just explicitly say, hey, I'm flirting with you, or hey, I'm mocking you, that would just make my life a lot more efficient.
And that's exactly what emojis do.
That's why, here on the Chrome team, we're excited to announce Google Translate support for emoji. With the click of a button, our translation algorithm interprets the context and tone of words and distills them down into clear, articulate, meaningful symbols. Fancy gentleman, cut a rug, shy snowman.
When we build the translation system, we need to understand how people are using language. So in building Translate for Emoji on Chrome for mobile, we looked at lots of users and how they express different things using emoji.
Emoji is processed in the occipital temporal sites, which is the same part of our brain that processes facial recognition. So basically, emoji is a language that everyone already knows.
This is the next phase of linguistic evolution, and we want to provide this to all of our users.
Our expert team is constantly evolving the language so it stays fresh and relevant.
Well, we're really looking towards improving emoji support for very complex emotions like laughing so hard you're crying and you're a cat.
The Chrome team is really excited about being able to translate the entire internet into emoji.
URLs, emojified. E-commerce, emojified. Medical journals, emojified. Legal documents, emojified. Subtitles, emojified. Some of our engineers have even started to code in emoji. People spend 80% of their processing power recognizing and reassembling these little symbols we call letters. Here at Google, we're giving the 80% back to the user.
By the way, that was an April Fool's joke. Just so that you don't go looking on your phone right away. So input is an issue. What we're seeing is a lot of people are developing towards, we have palettes that make it easy for people to put in emoji, and they're getting more and more integrated with the keyboard systems. So that, for example, you can actually type a word and see not only start to type a word and see completions of that word, but you can also see emoji that are related to that word. And we're even seeing this in search. If you go to Yelp, then you can put in a pizza and pizza emoji, and it will search for pizza places. You go to Bing and put in a donut and search for it, and you can get the best donut in Seattle. I happen to live in Zurich, and I found that the pizza even worked in Zurich, so I got to pizza places even in Zurich as well. So some of the other issues that we're dealing with, that we actually have dealt with, are flags. And the original carrier emoji only had 10 flags. So one of the things that we ended up in putting these into Unicode is not to disadvantage any country, so we put in a whole swath of flags. You can represent any of the flags for any of the countries in the world. And this is talked about also in 51.